Sunday, September 24th, 2017, Monaco 64, home of alternative economics and contrarian views. So I want to look at some technicals, gold, silver, and dollar yen. And dollar yen, of course, is really important relationship for the price of gold. And I also want to look at this book. It's called The Teacher's Self-Guide to Numismatics. I'm not a big numismatics fan. I mean, I do have a few numismatic coins, but I collect more bullion, gold and silver. But there's some, this book I bought at my coin dealer where I used to live, near where I used to live before I moved to this house. And he had this little book, and it was an old book, and I bought from him. And it's, yeah, it was published in 1960. And it says it's from the English University's Press. So it's a really interesting book. And the reason I'm going to go through some of the stuff in this book, it's really interesting. It makes you understand money and coinage. It's, I hadn't really looked deeply into this book. I bought it and I left it on the shelf, but I'll talk about that in a minute. So first of all, let's look at the gold price. And at the chart here, it's a daily chart going back to about a year ago. And I've got the moving averages here. I've got the 50-day, which is the green. I've got the 100-day, which is the black, and the 200-day, which is the red. And as you can see, it's looking pretty good. That trend line that's coming down, that's the long-term trend line from the 2011 high. I know we've had a correction recently, but as you can see, I think the gold got a little bit, how can I say, frothy, and now it's come back. Looks like it's come back down to test that 50-day moving average. The positive thing is that the 50-day is still well above the 100-day and well above the 200-day, and the 200-day is also below the 100-day moving average, and they're all pointing upwards. They're all going up, which is quite positive. You can see there that the double top in gold earlier this year at 1295. We closed just above there at 1297. Am I saying we bottomed? Maybe, maybe not. I think we might have to see gold, work out a little bit sideways here in the next few days, but it's still looking, the longer term technical picture looks good. Short term, there's a lot of noise. So that's the technical picture still looking fairly good for spot gold. Now, let's have a look at silver. Because the moving averages in silver, they haven't performed as well as gold. But as you can see here, the 50-day, the green, is almost catching up to the 200-day. The 100-day is still well below the 200-day, but it looks also like the 200-day moving average. It's been going down since the end of last year, downward path, but it seems to be stabilizing and trying to go up now. So yeah, silver is below the 50-day. It's held the 100-day though. We need a little bit more, how can I say, strength in silver. It is not as positive in the moving average as the moving averages in gold, but it's getting better. And then, so let's have a look now at the yen, dollar yen. So the dollar yen is basically how many yen you can buy with $1. So when this price goes up, that means that the dollar is getting stronger. And for the last few years, every time the dollar gets stronger against the yen, the price of gold against dollar goes down. So as you can see here, that bottom in the dollar there just you know, earlier in September. I think it was around 108. That corresponded to the top in gold. And ever since then, you know, the dollar has risen and it's now almost around 112. You can see though that on Friday it turned back down. The moving averages though are not looking very good. You can see there from the end of last year, the 50-day was comfortably above the 100-day and the 200-day, but now the 200-day moving average is above the 100-day and the 50 is the lowest one, which actually signifies a market that's going down. So the moving averages in the dollar yen are pointing to more pressure against the dollar, against the yen. And, you know, the rally we've had in the last couple of weeks looks like just a correction in the market that's going lower. As you can see there, the end of last year, we made a high there around 118, it looks like. And we've had lower highs and lower lows. So that looks like a market that's going down. So the dollar looking negative longer term against the yen. Short term, again, is difficult to say. So that's the technicals for gold, silver, and the yen. And let's go to this little book now. And it helps, you know, it just shows how words are corrupted. And that's why I wanted to read this book, some of the parts to you. You know, it's a bit like inflation nowadays. They define inflation as the CPI or RPI or whatever, even though inflation is the growth in the money supply that results into higher prices. You see in the media, people say, oh, inflation went up because petrol prices went up, or because, you know, European holidays in the UK went up. That made inflation go up. Totally bogus, because inflation is a monetary phenomenon which results in higher prices. So, for example, this little book is in alphabetical orders about numismatics, which is basically the study. Numismatics is collecting collectible coins, you know, gold, silver, whatever kind of coins. And on page 1, it starts A. It says account, money of account or account. And it says money existing in name only, and of which no actual coins are struck. Thus, the guinea, at one time an actual coin, is now only money of account. But nowadays, people, if you have money in the bank, they don't say that's money of account. They just say it's money. But, you know, you go back to 1960 in this book, and they're still saying that money in the bank that's not backed by a coin, or, you know, a guinea, is money of accounts. Really interesting, I thought. And then the other thing I thought was interesting, even though this is an English numismatics book, but, you know, they cover coins from all over the world. There's page 48, and it says dollar. So, and it has in brackets, it says Dutch, dollar, D-A-L-E-R, and German, Thaler, T-H-A-L-E-R. And it says a gold and a silver coin, the standard of currency in the USA, Canada, Mexico, most of the South American states, where it is known as the peso. So really interesting that the peso was actually used to be the same weight of gold or silver as the dollar. It's just a different name. It is also current in China, and the special form of British silver dollar and the half dollar is current in the Malay Straits, Hong Kong, etc. And it goes on to say, in the USA, the dollar was authorized to be coined by Act of Congress of 1792, which stated it was to be of the value of a Spanish milled dollar. So when people say, you know, we don't know what a dollar is, yeah, because we don't have a dollar. We use a Federal Reserve note. They've hijacked the term the dollar, but it's basically, as you can see here, it's been totally, you know, corrupted, the term. So let's have a look at some more stuff here. Oh yeah, there's an interesting one. Depreciation of currency. That's under the D. I'll show it to you here. So depreciation of the currency. Let's read that. I haven't read it, but it's interesting. You know, this is 1960, so over 50 years ago. Just goes to show how they've corrupted the economics profession and you know, have corrupted the terms and the words. A lowering of value. Currency depreciates in value either from natural causes such as wars, increase of the ratio of imports over exports, or as was often the case in the past, through direct intervention of the ruler of a country endeavoring to increase his personal wealth. This was effected either by debasing the current coin or issuing coin in an inferior metal. An instance of this in early history is mentioned by Aristotle. He tells us that Dionysius of Syracuse, in order to cope with his vast expenditure, issued tin coins in place of silver. These coins were made to pass for 4 drachma pieces. Their actual worth was only 1 drachma. After 2 disastrous world wars, the coinage of all European countries has been greatly depreciated and debased. English silver has now become copper nickel, they call it. So, you know, and debasement of the currency or depreciation is basically inflation. So when they tell us that it's European holidays or the price of meat or something else, you know, or greedy businessmen that have created inflation is a complete lie. And the reason why the currency keeps depreciating is because the central banks keep printing the money. So I just thought that was interesting, this little book. I haven't looked online if it's available. You know, you can look. It's the Teach Yourself Guide to Numismatics, C.C. Chamberlain. That's the author. So if you enjoyed this video, please like, share, and subscribe to my channel if you haven't yet. And you can also follow me on steemit.com and on Twitter. And I'll talk to you later. Bye.